It's time for another installment of Quick Start Guide to the Science of Getting Rich. Simple step-by-step instructions to using Wallace D. Wattles' classic masterpiece to create wealth in your life. Starting today by Vincent Marshall. Chapter 1 Overview. The purpose of the Quick Start Guide for the Science of Getting Rich is to help you isolate and apply the very essence of the Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles to your life in order to begin creating the wealth you seek. You see, in order to begin creating wealth in your life, you don't need to master and apply every single little thing Wallace D. Wattles wrote in The Science of Getting Rich. The truth is, there are only a half dozen things you really need to know and understand to get started. Even better, these half dozen things really boil down to a simple four-step formula. A simple four-step formula you can use to begin creating wealth in your life, starting today. What we'll cover in this guide, I'll teach you exactly what the simple four-step formula is. I'll share with you exactly how I applied it to make massive changes in my life fast, and I'll show you exactly how to apply the simple four-step formula to your life in order to begin creating the wealth you seek. Before we begin, there are two important things you should know. First, I highly recommend you read if you haven't already, or reread if you have, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles before you begin Chapter 2 of this guide. Now, let's get right down to it. I'm not talking about one of those edited, revised, and or hacked up, mistake-ridden editions floating around out there, free and or otherwise. I'm talking about reading or rereading, as the case may be, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles as it was originally published. If you don't have a copy of The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles as it was originally published, you can get the one I recommend on Amazon. And then in the guide here, it lists a couple of links, probably affiliate links, where this is a physical copy. I can't click on the links, but I'm guessing if it was a Kindle ebook or whatever, you could potentially click it or copy it to open it in the browser. And then after the links, it says, note, the links to the books are for the US Amazon store, and in parentheses it says Amazon.com. For all other Amazon stores, search for this book by, and then it has what you would use to search. So again, probably an affiliate link. Why do I recommend this one? Simple. This one was taken directly from the one I personally use, which was taken directly from an original in 1910 first edition of The Science of Getting Rich. So I know it's right. Are there others out there that are acceptable for this purpose? I'm quite sure there are. And if you have one you're comfortable with, by all means, use it. However, because I put this one together and use it myself, I know it's right, and thus I can safely recommend it. Second, I'm not going to recommend a specific amount of time you should spend on each chapter of this guide. However, as each chapter of this guide is built upon the previous ones, I highly recommend you complete each chapter in this guide, including its action steps, before moving on to the next chapter. Your days of floundering around out there on your own are over. This is the help you've been looking for. In the next chapter, you'll learn what the very essence of the science of getting rich and, in fact, Wallace D. Wattles' entire philosophy is. Until then, here are your action steps. 1. If you don't have a copy of The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles as it was originally published, get one. Again, if you don't already have one, this is the one I use and recommend. And it, again, has the links and or what to search. 2. Read if you haven't already, or reread if you have The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles as it was originally published. So the overview basically tells you what you're going to expect in the study guide and tells you pick up a copy of the book if you haven't already, and once you have a copy of the book, to either read or reread the book. So I'm going to be reading through my copy of The Science of Getting Rich, and when I have all or most of the chapters posted, I will come back to the study guide to go to chapter 2, where chapter 2 basically wants you to read it or reread The Science of Getting Rich. I want the chapters to be up there for you to listen to so that you can then get the most out of the study guide. So hopefully you found some value in this, and check out some more videos relating to The Science of Getting Rich. Thanks, and have a good day.